Do you actually know what it means when your cat drops something dead at your feet? Most people assume they do. It's a gift, right? A little trophy. A weird but sweet gesture from an animal that loves you. You say, underscore, underscore, quote, underscore, zero, underscore, feel slightly horrified, clean it up, and move on. But here's what nobody tells you. Your cat wasn't giving you a present. They were making a judgment call about you, a deliberate, considered ethological decision based on exactly how capable they think you are of surviving without them. And that changes everything. You found it on the doorstep, maybe on your pillow, a bird, a mouse, something small and very, very dead. Your first instinct was horror, maybe a little embarrassment, but your cat was watching your reaction with complete seriousness, and what they were waiting for you to understand would change how you see your entire relationship. Pay attention to how your cat acts in the seconds after they deliver it. We'll get to that in point 5, and it will permanently change how you read every interaction you've had since. And if your cat has never brought you anything at all, stay with us through point 7, because that tells you something too, something most people never think to ask. Here's the thing. This behavior isn't random. It isn't purely instinct. It is layered, deliberate, and aimed directly at you. Researchers studying feline provisioning behavior have documented that this act carries specific social meaning that has nothing to do with generosity and everything to do with role assignment. Your cat looked at you, assessed you, and made a decision. That's not a gift left on your doorstep. That's a verdict. 1. You've been cast as the kitten. Have you ever stopped to wonder why your cat chose you for this? Most people assume the prey delivery is about affection. Pure and simple. Your cat loves you, so they bring you things. Sweet. Straightforward. End of story. But here's what's actually happening. Your cat doesn't see you as an equal. They see you as a dependent, specifically as a kitten who cannot hunt, who will not survive without intervention, who needs to be fed, taught, and looked after by someone who actually knows what they're doing. That someone, in your cat's mind, is them. Research on maternal provisioning in felids shows this behavior is hardwired into the caretaking role, not the companionship role. Mother cats bring prey to their kittens not as a gesture of love, but as a survival intervention. They have assessed the kitten's competence, found it lacking, and decided to act. Your cat ran the same assessment on you. You failed. They stepped up. Think about that for a second. One owner noticed something that stopped them cold. Every time they went through a hard stretch, job loss, a breakup, weeks of barely leaving the house, their cat's deliveries increased. Not randomly, consistently. As if the cat had registered the shift in the household and decided the situation called for more effort on their part. The cat wasn't responding to mood. They were responding to perceived capability. And they saw someone who needed help. And here's something to hold on to. The best part is just getting started. Drop your city in the comments, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. In point 6, we'll look at what happens when a cat suddenly stops bringing prey altogether. Because some cats do stop, and the reason, in bonded cats, is not what you'd expect. It's either the best news or the hardest. Your cat looked at you and saw someone who needed saving, not a partner. A purpose. 2. The lesson they're trying to teach you. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the prey isn't dead? Most people assume that's worse, more disturbing, a sign their cat is being cruel or playing some dark game. They recoil. They remove the animal as fast as possible. They try to forget it happened. But here's what's actually going on. Your cat is teaching. Actively, deliberately, with the patience of someone who has done this before and fully intends to do it again. Wild felid mothers don't just deliver prey to their kittens. They demonstrate, they bring live animals, they step back, they watch. Researchers studying maternal instruction in wild cat populations found that this graduated teaching sequence, from dead prey to live prey to observed hunting, is one of the most sophisticated knowledge transfer behaviors documented in non-human mammals. Your cat isn't skipping steps. They're following a curriculum, and you are the student who keeps failing the entrance exam. One owner described watching their cat drop a still-living mouse in the center of the room, then sit back and stare at them. Not with aggression, with focus. The cat waited a full 2 minutes before intervening. 2 minutes of watching, evaluating, giving the lesson time to land. The cat wasn't being savage. The cat was being thorough. Here's something you can actually try. The next time this happens, don't scream, don't recoil immediately. Hold still for 3 seconds. Make eye contact with your cat. Then watch what they do next. What you'll see is a teacher checking whether the lesson finally landed. They're telling you, I have shown you everything I know. Pay attention this time. If you want to understand more of what your cat is actually communicating every day, subscribe. This channel exists for exactly that, for people who want to actually hear what their cat is saying. Your cat isn't being savage. They're being patient. 3. Only the chosen ones get the dead mouse. Can you honestly say you've ever wondered why your neighbor's cat, the one who's been fed by 3 different households for years, has never once brought anyone anything? Most people assume all cats do this, or that the ones who don't are simply indoor cats, or lazy, or less instinct-driven. But here's the thing. Not every cat provisions their human. Not even close. And the ones who do have crossed a very specific internal threshold. It's not about hunting ability. It's not about access to prey. It's about attachment and role assignment. A 2019 study on differential bonding behaviors in domestic cats found that provisioning behavior toward humans correlates directly with the depth of the cat's perceived caretaking relationship. Cats who view their owner as the dominant, competent provider, the one who handles things, don't bring prey. They bring themselves. They show up. They stay close. But they don't teach because they don't think you need it. Cats who bring prey have made a different calculation entirely. They have looked at you, measured you against what survival requires, and decided you need their help. That is not a small thing. That is devotion with a body count. Tonight, try this. Look back at the last few months and ask yourself honestly, when did the deliveries happen? Were you stressed, overwhelmed, going through something hard? Map the timing. What you'll likely find is a pattern that has nothing to do with seasons and everything to do with your state of mind. Your cat was paying attention the whole time. And hey, if this is making you see your cat completely differently right now, hit like and subscribe. That's how we reach more people who actually want to understand what their cat is really doing. A dead bird means you passed a test you didn't know you were taking. 4. The 3 seconds nobody talks about. Have you ever actually watched your cat's face in the moment after they deliver? Most people haven't, because most people are already moving, already recoiling, already grabbing paper towels and trying to get the thing out of the house as fast as humanly possible. But here's what you missed. Your cat was reading you, completely, intently. With the same focused attention a parent gives a child's face after delivering difficult news. They weren't done with the interaction. They were waiting for the most important part, your response. Remember back at the start when I said to pay attention to how your cat acts after the delivery? This is what I was talking about. A 2021 behavioral study found that cats who received a neutral or positive response to prey delivery repeated the behavior up to 3 times more frequently than cats who received a fear or disgust response. 3 times. That number matters, because it means your cat is not acting on blind instinct. They are adjusting, learning, updating their approach based on your reaction. Your horror isn't just unpleasant for you, it's data. And the data tells your cat the lesson failed. They're not offended. That's the part that gets people. They don't sulk, they don't give up. They look at your reaction, process it, and think, not yet. We'll try again. One owner realized, only after years, that every single time they'd screamed and fled the room, their cat had followed them. Not to gloat, not to play, just to stay close, just to remain present with the student who still had so much to learn. The cat never stopped trying. Your cat has more patience for your failures than most people in your life. Not instinct driving that patience, not habit, choice. 5. When the deliveries stop, the silence has a meaning. Has your cat ever just stopped? Maybe it happened gradually. Maybe it happened overnight. One day the deliveries were a regular, if unwelcome, part of your life, and then they weren't. And you assumed the cat had simply aged out of it, lost interest, slowed down. Most people leave it at that. They're relieved, honestly. One less thing to deal with. But here's what most people never think to ask. Why did a bonded cat, one who had been provisioning consistently, suddenly reclassify you? Remember back in point 2, when I said the silence had a meaning most people wish they'd understood sooner? This is that moment. When a deeply bonded cat stops bringing prey, one of 2 things has happened. Either they have decided you no longer need the lessons, that you have crossed some internal threshold of perceived competence and can now be treated as a capable equal. Or something harder has occurred. The cat has withdrawn. Not out of indifference, out of a kind of quiet giving up. Researchers studying behavioral shifts in cats during periods of owner depression or prolonged absence found that provisioning behavior drops significantly, sometimes disappearing entirely, when the cat perceives the human as unreachable. Not incapable, unreachable. There's a difference. Incapable means the lessons continue. Unreachable means the cat stops trying. The silence is not neutral. It is a statement. One owner looked back after a long and difficult year and realized their cat had stopped bringing anything around the same time the owner had stopped leaving the house. They hadn't connected it. The cat had been watching the whole time, and at some point something shifted in the cat's assessment. The deliveries simply ended. They never fully understood which kind of silence it was. Tonight, pay attention. If your cat still brings you things, however unwelcome, understand what that continuation means. They haven't given up. They're still in it. The silence isn't indifference. It's a final answer. 6. What they were really saying the whole time. And what about you, the one whose cat has never brought anything at all? I told you at the very beginning to stay with us through point 7, that it would tell you something too. Here it is. Most people assume cats who don't provision simply aren't hunters, or aren't bonded, or just have a different personality. Neutral explanations for a neutral absence. But here's the thing. Cats are not domesticated the way dogs are. Dogs were reshaped over thousands of years of selective breeding to need humans, to orient toward them, to seek their approval. That neediness is built in at the genetic level. Cats were not built that way. Their entire evolutionary architecture is designed around self-sufficiency. They don't need to provision anyone. They don't need to teach anyone anything. Every instinct they carry was honed for solo survival. Not partnership, not pedagogy, not care. And yet, some of them look at the person they have chosen. They assess them. They decide this particular human is not yet capable. And they begin the long, patient, completely optional work of trying to make them better. A 2020 cross-species comparison study found that domestic cats retain approximately 95% of the behavioral DNA of their wild ancestors. They are, in almost every measurable way, still wild animals, which means that every deliberate act of bonding, every slow blink, every returned presence, every delivered piece of prey is not the product of domestication. It is a choice made against their nature. For you, if your cat has never brought you anything, they may simply see you as already capable, already enough, already someone who doesn't need saving. That is its own kind of love. And if they have spent months or years patiently trying to teach you something you never quite learned, then you have been the recipient of something most people never recognize in the moment they receive it. Not instinct, not habit, not reflex. A wild animal decided you were worth the effort of their expertise. They didn't have to.